The University of Toronto Mental Health Student Association is a not-for-profit student-run club that aims to break the stigma surrounding mental health and empower students through their mental health journeys while also practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion. We strive to educate and promote healthy coping mechanisms among students struggling with their mental health and aim to make mental health resources a lot more accessible to students. We aim to do this by hosting events, seminars, workshops, fundraisers, and other initiatives throughout the year to raise awareness and educate U of T students, as well as members of the community on various mental health themes. So that was our spiel. Demario, if you'd like to introduce yourself, what you're all about, go for it.
Okay. Hi everyone. As you can probably see by my Zoom name, my name is Demario Knowles. I'm an 18-year-old award-winning public speaker and poet and aspiring activist who just tries to make an impact with his life. As you just heard, I do public speaking. I like writing poetry about mental health and other things related in the field, such as insecurities, anxiety, stuff like that. And I go to the University of Toronto at the Scarborough campus, and I study human biology, psychology, and French.
That's
Nice.
amazing. Award-winning at 18. That's actually so admirable.
Thank you. I
Really.
appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. We can't wait to hear your thoughts on, the questions we're going to ask. And yeah, I guess if you don't have any questions or anything else, we could get right into it.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. We're so excited to have you here because we've kind of seen your poems and your art that you do. So like reading your poems, they're really like inspirational. And I feel like you've reached so many individuals through your writing. I just kind of want to ask you like what inspires you to write your poems? Like what is your thought process or like what is the purpose behind your message?
So, funny story, when I first started writing poetry, I actually hated poetry in general. Like I hated like anything to do with like writing or reading. And to this day, I still hate like reading. But back in the day, the reason why I hated writing poetry is because I first picked it up in school in like language class, and I always felt very restricted. Like I couldn't write what I wanted to write. I had to write by these guidelines, or I had to write in this format. And whenever I'm doing something that's not like all the heavy duty science stuff that I do in the modern day, I like to be free. And like I'm not good at like visual art. So like when it comes to writing, that's my artistic way of like expressing myself. So when I first started writing poetry, I think the first poem that I wrote was in January 2021. At this point in time, I was 2 months into a nonprofit organization called A Teen Perspective, and we were basically an activism organization made by teens for teens, hence the name A Teen Perspective. And what we did is we usually wrote like journal articles about current issues in the world related to social injustices. And usually when I get involved in like a new organization, I want to make my name known as soon as possible. Like I want to make my presence known by my fellow colleagues. So in January 2021, this was my second month into the organization. So I was still kind of new. And around this time, Bell Let's Talk Day was coming up. And our president was like, hey, everyone, Bell Let's Talk Day is coming up. And it'd be nice if we did something for Bell Let's Talk Day, but we always write journal articles. Why don't we try writing something new, like a poem? And I volunteered immediately, and I immediately hated myself for that 5 seconds later, because I was like, Demario, why are you volunteering to write a poem when you hate poetry and don't know anything about it? So now I had to write this poem about like mental health and stuff for Bell Let's Talk Day, and I had no idea what to do. So I legit just like sat at my desk that I'm sitting at right now with a sheet of paper, and I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna go. Roses are red, violets are blue. And I was like, nah, 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 nah. This isn't gonna resonate with people. This needs to be something impactful. So then I erased what I wrote, and then I just put all my feelings out on the paper with regard to like how I felt about like mental health and everything. And because I'm a very basic person, I needed to come up with like a name that kind of like it was like fitting for the poem, but also matches my personality. So the poem is literally titled, I wrote this poem about mental health. And at the time, I had like maybe like 500, 600 followers on Instagram. And I used to get like 80, 90 likes. But when I posted the poem, it was going crazy. Like all these people started following me and like interacting with the poem. And people were saying things like, it inspired them. It made them feel like seen, heard, recognized. One person told me that it saved their life. And like that was crazy to me because I was like,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. Like I just wrote
Yeah.
like the span of like 2 hours just for like a job, and I apparently saved someone's life. And I was like, if all it takes for me to, help people and inspire people is to sit down at my desk and like cry my feelings onto the paper, then this is what I need to start doing more often. So I did start doing it more often, and then I tried to make the poems like resonate with me more. Like throughout the poems, if you go from the first one to the most recent one, you can see that with each poem comes more depth into my feelings. And I think my last two poems are actually in first person. So it's like even more introspective into the things that I'm going through. And with
Yeah.
each time I've been getting like more recognition for like inspiring people. And it's like I just want to inspire people. Like I don't care about being famous or anything. I just want to inspire people. And, I've been able to do that with my writing. And whenever I'm just like writing something, I try to think of something that will be relatable to people. Like I've discovered that we all go through struggles sometimes. I feel like it's inevitable. We'll all go through some type of hardship. And,
Mhm.
that's okay. It's okay to recognize that sometimes we're not at our best. And, I try to instigate more conversations about that with my poetry. And I know that was a very elaborate answer. I apologize, but
No,
that's just how I feel with regard to my poems.
No,
yeah,
that
it
was
was
perfect.
great. Yeah, I
Thank
really
you.
loved like learning about your journey and like how you literally hated it at one point and it like completely turned around and now you're saying how what big of an impact it has had on other people and how that inspires you. And I think like a lot of people are afraid of that change and afraid of like
Mhm.
stepping outside their comfort zone or like they have this like misconception of things that they hate and they just refuse to do. And often it's like what you said, like it's like because of school or like school has forced you to do it in a certain way in a certain box. So I think like stepping outside of that box like you did is just so inspiring. And I feel like this happens in a lot of students' lives. Like you yourself are a U of T student, and so I feel like we kind of have these misconceptions of like things that we're bad at and we're good at. And I think one of them is like communication and public speaking. And so I think my next question kind of would be like you've talked a lot in front of crowds and you're really good at it. So could you provide us with any tips on public speaking?
First of all, I want to say thank you for the compliment. Y'all are just gassing me up today, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And this is actually a question that I love answering because I actually used to be afraid of like public speaking in general. Like anyone outside my household would cause me to like panic. Like I see someone, I just start to panic. But I think one thing that has helped me the most is practice. And like I know that's like the most cliche answer that one could give, but honestly, it's like practice. Practice is like practice makes perfect. You know what I'm saying? And if you think about like I'm an analogy nerd. I like to make analogies about stuff. But if you think about it this way, this is where my biology background comes into play. If you think about like exercising and like bodybuilding with muscles, usually when you're working out, you exercise and then the muscle breaks down. And then when you eat protein, it starts to like build back up. So you need to apply stress or apply some type of energy in order to break the muscle down so you can build it back up even stronger. And if you take that concept and apply it onto humans, usually when we go through like hardships or stress or we invest our energy into something, yes, there are times when we can get overwhelmed and even break down as well. But at the same time, as long as we're able to utilize, the wisdom or the knowledge that comes with these experiences, that's how we can build our skills up. And when I was public speaking back when I first started, I was really nervous. Like I was like stuttering all the time. I was speaking to a group of elementary kids at I think it was Frenchman's Bay Public School in Pickering. I was really nervous. Like I was like stuttering like every single second. And in addition to that, I was speaking with another public speaker. Like this is someone that's years into the industry, and this is my very first public speech ever. So I was like really nervous. But
Yeah.
over time, I feel like I've gotten better at it. And like there are still some times when I like, not do as well as I hope to. And I feel like we all mess up sometimes. But it's just important to keep like practicing and like going back at it. Like that's the only way that you can get better with experience. So it's like leveling up in a video game. The more experience you get, the more you level up. So
I love that answer. I love how you like even in just that answer you can tell that like you're a biology sort of student, but then you're using analogy, so you're poet for sure. But I love that you said like it's important to, you know, do things that might feel like they're making you break down, but you have to like practice. Maybe that's not the answer people are looking for, but that is literally the only answer to get better at things. So yeah, that was excellent response.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for that. You're like very knowledgeable, especially for like just being 18. Like you're extremely wise, and I feel like I just want to listen to your advice, and I want to learn from you, and I think it's really cool. Um, so kind of moving on to like a totally different topic, very, very important topic. We kind of want to dive into. We all know it's February, and that entails Black History Month. And so I kind of want to ask you, what does Black History Month mean to you? And why do you think it's important to encourage the discussion of Black history?
So, with regard to your first question about what Black History Month means to me, I feel like it's a time to acknowledge the contributions and the things that have happened to Black people in history. And I feel like that's really important because this is an opportunity to instigate discussions and create dialogue about, a very important topic. And, without Black History Month or without any opportunities to create these dialogues, we could be, completely ignoring or being ignorant to the experiences of a whole class of people. And like for me as a Black person, I always feel like I never really used to understand the significance of Black History Month when I was younger. I feel like I just wasn't able to grasp the understanding. But now I'm a little bit older, I can start to see the significance that comes with the month for sure. Because I can look around me and I can see that, my people are being recognized for the hard work. It's not like they're putting in such hard work and they're not receiving fruits for their labor. This is an opportunity for them to be recognized for the hard work that they receive. And what I like about U of T specifically is that it's not only acknowledging the contributions of Black people from the past, but it's also acknowledging the contributions of Black people from the present. Like I look around my campus in Scarborough and I see, all these like opportunities for some of my friends from the Black diaspora that they're receiving. And, it makes me happy to see that they're getting recognized because without Black History Month, their hard work could be completely unnoticed. Like, they could be working so hard, working as hard as other people, and then they could go completely unnoticed just because of the color of their skin. Like, that's not something that they can change. Like, this is a biologically determined quality of someone. It's not like they can just like change it overnight. So if that's the deciding factor of going unrecognized and recognized, it's kind of sad. So it's nice that, this is an opportunity to, acknowledge the hard work of a very important class of people. And like everyone is important. And I feel like everyone that has a good heart should be able to be recognized